But who better than me?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the casual stream. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It's appreciated. And yeah, look, apologies for last week. A lot of you know it was a very hard, very taxing week family wise, but we good. We're back now. We've got stuff to talk about today. We've got stuff to talk about tomorrow. And I'm trying to see how much time I've got to dedicate to actually putting out a couple of videos over the next couple of days as well, because we haven't done an episode I think in about a week or two. We need to kind of rectify that as well. But with that being said, yes, thank you very much for people who are in attendance. I haven't even checked the chat yet, but I know my homeboy Philip Answer is #1 in the building, so yeah, appreciate to you. And I'll get into the rest of it in a moment. Today is pretty much going to be heavily about, things happening within the PBC. You've got Caleb Plant versus something McCrombie, who now was pulled out of a fight due to a cut, and the whole card has been scrapped. Bearing in mind, I've never heard the name of McCrombie before. I don't know why you would scrap an entire card because he's out when there is so many other light heavyweights and super middleweights you could speak to, or even middleweights that you could just allow to lose not to lose an additional 8 pounds to get in the ring. But yeah, Erickson Lubin as well, he's another one, sort of, for what we've seen, some are quote unquote ducking the smoke of Tim Tszyu, so we've kind of got that to talk about. We've got the news that David Benavidez has elected to stay at 175 pounds and thus for give up his interim WBC title at super middleweight. There's two ways that you can look at that one. We're going to get into all of that a bit later on. There's a few other bits and pieces, some other talking topics. However, some of those I might just wait until tomorrow to discuss, or put in videos instead. I haven't quite decided. So yeah, we'll kind of wait and see where we go for that. But in the meantime, we're going to keep this one nice, tight, compact for an hour or so. We have to do it by the time that I know sundown, technically sunset is at 8:59 or something like that, but the sun travels over this way. It's going to get a lot darker in this room before that time, so I need to try and preempt that, especially as I need to buy a new ring light, because the natural lighting in this room, there's some wiring issues. I'm going to try and sort that out, but I definitely need to buy a new ring lights. But I'm waiting until the end of the month so that I can use it as an additional tax write-off. But yeah, so that's pretty much that in a nutshell. I guess let's get into the chat and see who's about, see who else has joined. Obviously, as I said, Philip is #1 in the building as always, so shout out to Philip. Jonah31 is second. Lucan is #3 in the building. Anthony Hayweather is over here as well. Shout out to Anthony. And then Philip with the classic comments. It's like everything the PBC does goes to that emoji, the squidgy emoji. And yeah, you know what, I can't deny that. Basically, it's not looking good. It's not looking good for that conglomerate at this point in time. And you know what, I mean, as much as Al Heyman and the PBC and whoever else was over there, what's his name, Tom Brown and everyone else, Man Down Promotions and what is it, GTD Promotions and all the other quote unquote promotional companies are over there. They all need to just bite the bullet at this point and admit that you need a backup behind you that's invested in it. So go to the Zone, go to ESPN. That's pretty much that. What else could we potentially talk about today? If we get through all of that and we got a little bit more time, we can definitely talk about Amanda Serrano and Clarissa Shields, and Clarissa Shields trying to hog limelight yet again off the back of someone else's achievements. We can talk about some other stuff. If we get enough time, you can put stuff down in the comments and we'll talk about it there as well. So yeah, I think we got enough people I guess at the start of this, so we can kind of get into the topics very, very shortly. Anthony, what happened with Shields and Serrano? Okay, yeah, we'll possibly talk about that in a little bit, but again, as a very quick summary, Clarissa Shields is trying to hog she's trying to hog the limelight from people that are doing bigger and better things than her, and yeah, she's hating. Well, maybe she's not hating, but she's definitely salty about the level of attention other people get. But yeah, we could talk about that later. Luke and PBC days are numbered. They are goners. Yep. Are Clarissa Shields and Tony Pugilis related? I mean, you'd have to ask him. I don't think she her background is Guyana and Guyanese, but happily, there to find out. Untraceable. So no, you're not late at all, man. You're right on time. The stream is just in its introductory phase right now, so you're good. Tank is a weight bully. Straight in with the Tank Davis talk. But yeah, that's something potentially to talk about as well, I guess, with the Lomachenko. That's PBC-ish related. Davis should fight Lyndon for his next fight at light heavyweight. It's an interesting bout. All right, you know what? Because you've brought that to the chat, Jonah, let's talk about that first, and then we'll bounce all the other PBC stuff off of that kind of news. So, as we've seen yesterday, David Benavidez has now officially announced that he will be remaining at light heavyweight, 175 pounds, instead of going back down to super middleweight to take on Canelo Alvarez as the mandatory down there. Now, some people are going to look at this in a sense and say, well, look, he's taking on the harder test. He's obviously going up to 175. He can't really make 168 comfortably anymore, or maybe he just thinks it's going to take too long to wait for Canelo Alvarez, and he's done waiting with him. He wants to create his own legacy and stuff, and that's one way you can look at things. However, the way that I'm going to look at things, and the way I've actually looked at things for a long time, controversial. Some people are going to think it's controversial, but David Benavidez never actually wanted that Canelo fight. He just basically wanted to attach his name to Canelo Alvarez in order to grow his profile. The same way that Deontay Wilder attached his name to Anthony Joshua to grow his. To a lesser extent, Tyson Fury kind of did the same thing with Joshua. And then also, pretty much every other person, you had Caleb Plant for an example. He took the Canelo fight after, but he made sure that Canelo had all the belts first, so the fight was as big as it could possibly be when he was the first person approached to take the Canelo fight. And then he was talking about Canelo, but didn't want to fight him until that all the other belts were in place, so he could try and scoop up Undisputed in one fell swoop. I'm not saying that's a bad thing on his part, but he done it. They all did it. Jamel Charlo attached his name to him. Jamal Charlo attached his name to him. Everyone attaches it. To a lesser extent, you could say Terence Crawford's doing the same thing. The only difference is we know Terence Crawford wants to smoke and wants that fight. But with that being said, I don't think David Benavidez ever really wanted this fight, because as much times as he spoke about saying that he wants Canelo and Canelo's ducking and Canelo doesn't really want the smoke and he'll never fight me, etc., etc., David Benavidez had numerous opportunities to basically force the WBC's hand to make that fight happen. There was never one occasion when he filed the necessary paperwork to have his mandatory enforced. There was never one time when he got basically threatened the WBC with legal action, the same way Dillian Whyte had to threaten them with legal action in terms of getting his his mandatory shot finally. All of this took place, and at no point did he do anything to try and get that fight made. When you look at, for instance, even when the PBC went to when Canelo went to the PBC, David Benavidez spoke numerous times about Canelo. As soon as he signed up with the PBC, he actually stopped talking and stopped saying his name. The only time he then started to say his name again was as soon as Canelo basically left the deal, but still kind of had that little co-promotional situation that he did with Jaime Munguia and stuff. And then that's when they started piping up again, when they thought he was fully leaving, and then didn't really say too much when he came back, and then went up to light heavyweight to say, oh, well, he's not going to fight me anyway. And now you had the ultimate opportunity to decide which way you're going to go, and you can have the WBC interim super middle or the WBC interim light heavyweight, and you chose the light heavyweight, even though the super middle, they were actually guaranteeing you that you were going to get the shot at the title, and that would force Canelo to either have to vacate the title or they was going to call the mandatory. But so for all of the talk in I'll face Canelo, I want Canelo, rare, when you had the ultimate opportunity to do that with nowhere for him to run, quote unquote, and having it look as a unmitigated duck, and there's no way that he can get out of it, you choose to give up the belt to go elsewhere. Clearly you feel as if you've got more of a chance against a Dimitri Bivol than you do against Canelo, because I don't even think he's expecting that Artur Beterbiev is going to be the winner. I think he's thinking it will be Bivol, and then I can try and use my size to overpower Bivol because he's a small 175 pounder. But we all saw what happened when he faced Alexander Gvozdyk. I'm still to this day, I think that Gvozdyk won that fight quite comfortably, to be honest. I understand why it was given the other way, and if you look at it in isolation, there was a lot of big moments that David Benavidez had, even though those big moments never caused any form of damage or any form of frailty or fright or concern. Like literally, Gvozdyk walked through every single shot that David Benavidez threw, and every time he started peppering Benavidez, not even loading up on shots, you had Benavidez tired, wobbling all over the place from round sort of 5, 6, 7 onwards. So that's my opinion. I understand there's a lot of other people that don't think that way and think it was quite clearly the other side. Cool, no problems. But it just goes to show you how human he is up there. So to him, his only chance must have to be to face a smaller guy who's a boxer, who's a bit of a mover, that he can try and walk down and hopefully bully in the ring a bit, and hopefully he can get that victory. Because my assumption is that he thinks that Dimitri Bivol will win that over Beterbiev, and apparently they have sparred in the past, and he maybe feels he's got the advantage over Bivol the same way he felt he had the advantage over Gvozdyk because they had sparred in the past as well. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. I think personally he's never wanted the Canelo fight, really. He just wanted to attach his name to him, and as soon as he had the opportunity to corner, quote unquote, the duck, the coward, he didn't do it. So yeah, to me it's all about just attaching his name. But good luck to him at light heavyweight, because again, now you're facing people that are of similar size to you for the most part. You're facing people that are probably hit just as hard as you, if not harder. I saw someone in the chat, someone said that they think Lyndon Arthur should be his next fight. Who was that who said that? I think it might have been it was Jonah 31. David should fight Lyndon for his next fight. I mean, the thing is, Lyndon Arthur might take the fight. I mean, at that, he's really gonna, quote unquote, let some super middleweight come up, challenge him, and he'll not do anything. I would pick Benavidez to win that fight, only because Lyndon doesn't impose himself enough. He takes too much to the back foot. tries to stay on the ropes too much, and obviously when you get into that mode, you can potentially have issues with trying to now get the forward momentum when you've been on the back foot for so long. You can let someone build up a head of steam, and you just get and it just sort of becomes a bit problematic. But it would be interesting, and I would definitely have a look at it if that fight did take place. Let's check this. Shout out to James. Yes, thank you very much, man. It's good to be back, and I will be back today. I will be back tomorrow, and I'm even trying to put out episodes in between live streams. Before I forget, the people who are watching, don't forget, if you look on the channel, there's no graphic on there yet, but there is a stream set up for Saturday 10:45, because at 11 o'clock I will be having a chat with Caroline Dubois. I'm calling her Savagely Sweet Caroline Dubois. So make sure you guys jump in. We're gonna talk about a lot of things. I won't really call it an interview. We're gonna just be having a chat, catch up, talking about the next fight she's gonna have, future plans. I'm gonna ask her some hard questions. I'm gonna ask her about the Matchroom girls that some people say she don't want no parts of. I'm going to ask her about that. I'm going to ask her about the Matchroom girls that some people say she's trying to cherry pick. I'm going to ask her about the long-term deal with Boxer and Sky Sports. There's going to be a lot to talk about. And anyone who wants to ask questions, if you pose them, put them in the sense of that super chats, I will make sure that they all get read out. Otherwise, I will try and look in the chat as and when I can in between breaks of us chopping it up. But yeah. Just thought I would mention that. Let's see who else. Untraceable. He has to attach his name to Canelo. Jonah. David wanted that payday. 100%. That's pretty much all I believe he was after. Untraceable Bud isn't ducking boots. He could have fought him already and didn't want to. Yes, we all know. We all remember that. That is a thing. Bud did offer Boots to fight back in 2022. And Bozy Ennis did in fact say that they were loyal to Showtime and that they wouldn't be taking any fight if Showtime weren't involved. Yes, I do remember that. And the interviews out there, it's quite easy for you to find. It's not a hard interview to find whatsoever. Hot Pies, yep. Shout out to Champros, shout out to you. Philip was people should keep the same energy for David just like they do for Canelo with this ducking talk. 100%. Which UK light heavies do you think has the chance of beating David Benavidez? The majority of them. The only ones, there's a couple that, the thing is, I think that they all got a equally valid chance of beating him. Boazzi, I think, could beat him. Yard, I think, could beat him. Richards, I think, could beat him. The only problem with that one is if Craig Richards waits too long. Though if he lets David get ahead of steam, he might not be able to get back into things, which is something that obviously he's done in a few other fights previously. But Lyndon Arthur, if he was actually switched on, took it seriously, he could probably have a good opportunity as well. Dan Aziz, I think, would be the hardest arts, just because of the size difference. 6. Obviously, I know Dan's fought a lot of guys that are taller guys, but like 6'2", someone that's naturally a 200-pounder and all of that stuff. Plus, he's got to fight on the inside. There's a lot there, so it would be, it could be a bit difficult. But I understand. I reckon, would have the hardest possible task in my personal opinion. But yeah, that's kind of what I would say about it. Right, I reckon it's got something to do with Ben Shalom. Okay, it might be the Caroline thing. Shout out to Emma in the building. You would think Boazzi will be unhappy that David jumped the queue for his title shot, but I don't think he'll be. Good old, I love it when Emma comes in. Bare controversy. David will be another person for him to avoid. Untraceable Hutchinson. Maybe. Who knows? quite possibly. I guess we just have to wait and see. Okay, so it looks like that's pretty much all. That's my thoughts on the David stuff. Over that, you guys can keep leaving your comments in, but let's talk about let's talk about this McCrombie and how, you know, McCrombie is all of a sudden the person that they are deciding will that all of a sudden McCrombie is the person that they're gonna cancel an entire show for. I mean, does that make much sense to anyone, or is it? It's got to be more. There's got to be something else going on in there. I'm pretty sure it has to be more than just they don't have the dates, because there's absolutely no way that that show in itself should be costing you that much money, whereby you can't. I mean, look, I know Caleb Plant got paid very well for the Canelo fight. I understand that, but you can't tell me that he's asking for so much money that McCrombie falling out cancels the entire show. And surely you could find an opponent with a much lesser known, opponent and pay them even less to keep the show running. It's either got to be that they didn't have the money for the dates, period, or that Amazon literally said that was bad enough. Now he's gone. That we are not putting this on our network. We've got a standard to uphold. Imagine if that was it. It got cancelled because the standard of the show was that poor that Amazon refused to do the distribution. That actually would be a hilarious take, quite frankly. I would find that rather hilarious, rather funny. Yeah. I mean, the PBC, they're literally, as the saying goes, is going to hell in a handbasket. Like and it's mad. You've got people like Stephen Fulton, they're on social medias. He's basically been complaining for the last 2 years that he only be fighting once a year, just about getting one fight. Yeah, he's still there. I know that they've got some kind of mad contracts, but if I was not getting them opportunities or there was no fight dates for me, I would be on the phone to even legal aid. Like, forget actually hiring a private lawyer. Get legal aid to say they are not upholding their part of my contract. Because I'm pretty sure any contract they've got would have said, I am entitled to either this amount of money or these amount of fights per year, or at least the opportunity or the offer of fights per year. Oh, wait. I just thought of something. Okay, so the brain's doing overtime thinking. Imagine if their contracts say that you have to be offered a fight like every, let's say 12 months. You have to be offered at least one fight every 12 months. You have to be signed to fight, or you have to be offered, or something has to be agreed. What if this card, Caleb Plant versus McCrombie, was his offer, which he accepted, but because the card got scrapped, they're not in breach of the contract because of that. So they're actually still in term because they offered him a fight. I mean, I'm not trying to say I'm smart, but imagine if that's what their contracts say. So as long as they offer someone the fight, it's all good. And you can't get out of the contract because they did what they said they were supposed to do. That could be it. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I just worked that one out. Put in the chat if you think what I'm saying makes sense, or if you think like I'm just chatting some nonsense tonight. Please let me know, because that's in my mind. Was Philip saying, I'm in agreement with Ring IQ that the opponent isn't injured and it's something else. Emma, don't feel sorry for Fulton or any PBC fighter they made their bed. They have to lie in. I love the fact Emma is no nonsense. Like, Emma is on smoke. You know what, Emma, you need to let me know what's the next show you're gonna be at. because if we're at the same, I need to like meet you in person. We need to get you on the actual channel, because like your takes are normally like 100%, and I just need to see. I need to put a face to all of this savagery. So let me know. But yeah, I think their contracts, I think that is their contracts. Like, as long as they're offered something, the contract can't be broken, because they're honoring their part of the contract. And so if you offer them a fight and then you pull the card because someone got cancelled or someone got injured, technically you're not in breach of the contract, and they've got no way to sue you. That might be it. I think we need to view that one. And as you guys can see, even though it's still bright outside, the sun is actually starting to go above the window. It's gotten a little bit darker in here from when we started up until now, even with lights on, which are just not working the way they should. I need to pull down that lighting fixture and check the wiring. But yeah. Let's see. If I knew you were going to the Fisher fight, we would have met up. I'm going to the AJ fight next. Oh wow, the Wembley one. Yeah, I doubt I'll be at that one. They ain't gonna give me accreditations for that. I will. I'm not even gonna be at the one this weekend, because I didn't get an accreditation for that, and it's come at the wrong weekend. If it was next weekend, I'd probably go. But Philip Base, what's your thoughts on Munguia leaving Golden Boy Promotions and getting to Top Rank? It's a smart play for him. I don't know how much he was getting paid, a Golden Boy, but he'll be on a network at least, which is, it's got a larger fan base in the States at least. He'll get UK coverage with the Sky part of the deal. And the only thing is, if he was to leave Golden Boy to Top Rank, the protection rings over now, because Top Rank will put him in. They will put him in proper fights. There ain't gonna be any Macomb fights, or bringing up 154 pounders up to super middleweight for you, or even if it was a great fight, faded Sergey Derevyanchenko's. Like, they're basically going to have you as their litmus test for their up and coming guys. You will be fighting the likes of who they got over there. You're going to be fighting the Mbiles and that crop if you go to Top Rank. So if that's the case, I mean, go for it. I know we left Freddie Roach to go back to his old coach. I can't remember the name of the old coach now, but I know he's done that. But yeah, if he's leaving Golden Boy Promotions, then good luck to him. That's all I can pretty much say about it. Because I think you and Jay are on the money. I mean, I hope, like I've said, the theory itself, it just seems too good not to expose. So yeah, we'll wait and see what transpires with that. Untraceable, better fighters at Top Rank, 100%, and he will have to get in the ring with them. And the thing is, I don't know if necessarily he's ducking, but I know that Oscar De La Hoya on numerous occasions has chosen the lesser options for his fighters. And remember a lot when everyone was talking about Canelo and Canelo weight and all of the rehydration clauses and all that sort of stuff. If you guys remember, there was never as soon as Canelo left Golden Boy Promotions, there were no rehydration clauses. There were none of that stuff going on. Saying it. All of that stuff happened when he was at Golden Boy. So I have to imagine it was Oscar De La Hoya that was putting all those sanctions on his opponents. And all of the remember when they said, you can always guarantee Canelo on points is the prediction. And as soon as he left Golden Boy, all of a sudden, all of his cards kept getting closer. There was a lot of 115, 113s or 116, 112s, whereas before there was a lot of 118, 109s or 119, 109s or 120, 108s, and those kind of mad scorecards. I think a lot of it is Golden Boy produced. So Jaime is also not gonna have that sort of that blanket again, because Bob's too old. He don't care enough about you to give you that. And I know that he's going to be fighting, I think, Eric Bazingyan, who is not, he's not a pushover in any way, shape, or form, undefeated. He hasn't had all the greatest tests and stuff, but he's a competent, comparable super middle. So yeah, Jaimy's got his work cut out for him. His stuff, Grub, shout out to you as well. Glad you're in the building. Skyline, the editor, is here as well. Which fighters does PBC even have to offer that will provide competition at top level? I mean, if we're talking topper level, none. But they've got some decent. Like I said, Fulton is a good fighter. Brandon Figueroa, he's all right. He's of a decent level as well. I mean, Caleb Plant, if he could sort out his engine, his gas tank, he would have been a much better. He doesn't have the energy. That's the one bad thing about Caleb Plant. If he had a better gas tank, better engine, he'd be a much better, much more sought after opponent and opposition. I guess technically you could say Tim Tszyu, because he's still messing about with the PBC for some reason. The dumbest thing ever for him to be doing that, because he's got no limit. They've got the Australia deal. There's no reason for him to be dealing and having to deal with the foolishness that's going on in the PBC and with the PBC. But I guess that's his choice and that's what they're deciding. I'm hoping that he can kind of get past that bit of his contract and go to the maybe go to Top Rank or do something with the Zone, especially considering that No Limit and the Zone has quite a big following and broadcast within Australia and stuff. So I guess we'll wait and see. Oscar Stable was already weak, but this weakens it even more. Yeah, I mean, look, if Jaime Munguia goes, he's literally only got Virgil Ortiz and Ryan Garcia, who can't fight until mid next year at the earliest. Virgil's the only guy he got left. Maybe that deal with His Excellency came at the perfect time for them. Maybe that's it. And maybe now they've got a little cross promotional share between the two of them, seeing as they both ink packs with Riyadh season. So there might be more to it than meets the eye, but the Munguia loss guarantees that Payton Ortiz will be taking the easiest route. So yeah, 100%. Or it would mean that he will do the same thing. He will take them on the easiest course he can until there's a massive payday fight that he can almost cash them out in, and then continue on and try and reap the benefits of the loss afterwards. So Zepeda, that would at the moment I'd probably be Tank Davis in terms of attractions over there. And for Ortiz, well, at 154, again, it's probably Tim Tszyu, because if you do the fight in Australia, you make a lot more money than you do if you do it in the US, or if you manage to get onto one of those Riyadh cards, you make a ton of money that way. So I can see that, definitely. Shout out to Carme, big ups to you in the building. Glad to have you here as always. Ortiz keeping the lights on. Yeah, Ortiz and Zepeda, they're just they're paying them light bills, like on that 30-day. You remember, you get the 30-day extension, they're literally playing it on that 30th day. And just about being enough so they don't get defaults and charges put on the account. That's exactly what they're doing over at Golden Boy with them last two fighters. Luke, and there's a reason Al Heyman doesn't do interviews, so he doesn't want to leave himself legally vulnerable. He is legally savvy and likes to hold his cards close to his chest. Yeah, 100%. If there's one thing to say about Al Heyman, he's a very smart individual. The only problem is, well, I say that he's a very smart individual to people that he knows he's a lot smarter than. That's how I will kind of put it, because a lot of other people with general intelligence know exactly what's going on, but he manages to get the people that obviously are going to make him the money to think his way and go, or to sign stuff before they know what they're signing. Then all of a sudden, boom, problems. But I guess that's their cross to bear. Shout out to O in the building. Yeah, man, keeping the good vibes. I'm trying. Thank you very much for being in attendance, even if you're just passing through. dedicated subscriber to the channel. So member, definitely appreciate you. Untraceable is a crook. I mean, yeah, I guess nice and simple. That is the way you can, it can be explained, I suppose. So let's see, what else have we got that came on? So you had McCrombie, you had you also had Benavidez. What else is happening? Oh, Ericsson Lubin. So Ericsson Lubin, they're saying medically won't be ready to fight until well, he won't be available to fight. Hence why they've called off the purse bids for, I think it was the WBC, with the was it WBC? Is it the WBC or WBA with Tim Tszyu? He won't be. No, it'll be the WBO, I think, because no, WBO interim is what Crawford's gonna have. He's fighting for the WBA. Yes, I think it's a WBC belt. But yeah, Lubin saying that he don't want that fight. He didn't want the fight last year when it was presented to him. Now he's saying he don't want to go and travel to Australia. So all I can really think is that Ericsson Lubin is retiring, or he's no longer a full-time boxer, because he ain't really fought in any high-profile fights since that Jermell Charlo fight, or maybe the Sebastian Fundora fight when he got lumped up looking like the Elephant Man after, what was it, 9 rounds or that the fight lasted. I know he didn't make no big money for that. Oh, thank you, Philip. IBF Eliminator. Okay, there we go. It's like you do all of that, you get an opportunity to go to Australia, make more money than you've ever made, because that will be your highest payday, because it will be a pay-per-view, you get a piece of the pay-per-view revenue, all that good stuff, and you're choosing not to take it. Who knows? I wonder what the Amazon PBC didn't get the Turkey deal, especially with him involved in PBC in a fight card in LA. I have to think there's more to it than we know. Maybe the Amazon thing, they're too closely tied into, the PBC are too closely tied into Amazon, and he's already said he realistically wants DAZN to deal with his international broadcasting. He's happy to use the others, but maybe there's too much there's too much control from Amazon with that PBC deal. Maybe he just doesn't see enough value in their fighters. Maybe there's only a couple of fighters he's got interest in, which is like Isaac Cruz and maybe a Fundora if he can get through Errol Spence, a David Benavidez possibly. So maybe he only sees value in a couple of their people, therefore it's not worth trying to do a deal with the entire stable, because there's not enough depth in there. Or maybe he's not happy with their practices of their guys fighting once every 18 to 24 months and being happy about it, or overpricing themselves. Maybe just saying out of principle, you guys aren't reasonable, you're not honorable men, I don't want to deal with you. Maybe that's his thought process. Who knows? James, what do you think of Johnny Fisher new fight on the catch-all card? I think he's fighting Andre Rudenko. Yep, he is indeed. Wasn't something I was going to get into today, but you know what? I think the PBC stuff's kind of run its course. Yeah, we could talk about that very briefly. Yes, he's fighting Andre Rudenko, and Andre Rudenko is a very good opponent. Andre is definitely a step up for Johnny Fisher, and possibly he might be a banana skin. I thought personally that the best opponent for him to face would have been Konstantin Dobyshenko, purely because the chance of Konstantin winning the fight is slim enough that you can do it on the very quick turnaround that Johnny Fisher's obviously going to have from his previous fight with Alan Babbage, because it is a short turnaround realistically, but it's guaranteed to give you rounds, so you can work on the shots that you've been working on in training. You can work obviously on your movement if that's something you want to also work on, defense, and you know that at a minimum that fight's going 6 rounds, because Dobyshenko is, he's very good at pacing himself. He's very good at tucking up and, not taking much too flush and too tight on the guard and stuff. So personally, that's who I thought would have been perfect for such a short turnaround, to then maybe have a Rudenko or a fight like that, a much harder fight later on in the year, or possibly over in Australia, unless they've got ideas of putting him against an Australian heavyweight. I mean, who knows? Maybe they take him to Australia on the Liam Paro undercard, and maybe he fights Dempsey McKean. Because I don't know if Matchroom have still got the deal with Dempsey. I haven't heard anything from him in the last year since the Hrgovic loss, but that would make sense. It's an Australian heavyweight. You know you have your Romford army, and obviously him with his Australian contingency. That to me is probably the fight that they're gearing up to. Whether he'd be able to win that fight or not, I don't know, but I'd definitely be interested in watching. Luke and Wagwan with Lomachenko. Actually, yeah, we'll talk about Lomachenko in a moment. We could definitely, because I guess him and Tank is another pseudo PBC topic, so we could definitely talk about that. Loma is punishing Tank for ducking him previously. James, don't you miss Alicia Baumgardner? I do. I mean, look, yeah, in the ring, of course, but you know what? There's more than enough footage and content that she's putting out on her socials to never quite be out of the public eye. So, and she's embracing a new 30. So with that, I'm leaving her to do what she's doing. She says that she's got a fight. The fight news is coming up for September. I mean, 5 months after the purse bids, or 6 months now after the purse bids were done. But is what it is. There is something not quite right going on there, but I'm not too worried about it. PBC should be punished. Did Babic even hit Johnny? No, he didn't. He barreled into him at one point because he came in like he wanted to throw a shot, and Babic hit him. I mean, Fisher hit him with something, and then he ended up sort of bumping into Fisher's chest. I think he might have tried to swing a bit of a shot, or a bit of a forearm, or a bit of a wrist into the chest, but that was pretty much it. And then after that, just got taken out. So yeah, there was absolutely no damage suffered whatsoever. Shields fighting this weekend. What are we thinking? Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. Davis coach said Gervonta should fight Shakur next. Yeah, he said that, because he said a lot of things. If he's it's his assistant coach, if he's happy with that, then all good. I'm quite happy for him to do that, and that's the fight I want next. That's the fight I wanted next anyway. When I heard Loma said, no, you know what, you and Shakur fight, and then I'll fight the winner, I was quite happy when he said that, because that to me makes sense. If Loma can only really deal with one fight a year, one training camp a year, and he maybe deserves to not have to run the gauntlet again like he did last time, when other people haven't done some of that work. That being said, I don't excuse what's kind of going on, as I did say on Monday Night Smoke. So yeah, okay, let's talk about the Lomachenko situation. Right. So this was my thoughts on it. I said that I believe, I can't call it a duck yet, because he hasn't said that. Because to me, a duck is when you is either when you flat out refuse to fight somebody, or you're offered the fight and you decide to take an easier fight, or you decide to take a fight that's less risky instead of taking that fight. Lomachenko hasn't done either at this point in time. They've said that he's not motivated to take the fight right now. He doesn't really want to fight until the end of the year. Maybe the start of next year. So all he's saying is he doesn't want that fight right now. And if that's the case, I ain't got a problem with that, because that doesn't mean that he doesn't want to have the fight. He's just not having it at this moment in time. And let's be clear, he hasn't said that he doesn't want the fight. I'm happy. I'm quite content if someone says that I'm taking this fight, but I just need, don't want to have it right now. I need a bit of time to myself, but we'll take it later, or whatever. Yeah, I'm quite happy for someone to say that if they're guaranteeing that they're going to have it. It's not like, oh yeah, I'll fight him, and then you're putting all these different barriers and loopholes and everything in place to prevent the fight taking place, or you're trying to price yourself out, etc., etc. That I don't believe that's the case, because we've never known Lomachenko to want to price himself out of a fight. Let's not forget the Teofimo fight. He gave Teo some of his purse just so to make sure the fight would happen. So I believe Egis Klimas when he says it's not all about money for Lomachenko. That being said, obviously the optics don't look great, because he has, he's the one that's delaying this fight that people want to see, or he's the one delaying it now when it's actually a viable option. So I get that. And for the people who want to say he's ducking, or it's a duck, I'm not going to argue with you, because I can understand your point of view. But just from the way I look at it, it's not a duck until he absolutely comes out and says, I don't want that fight. Or I wouldn't even really say it's a duck if he decides to retire. Because if he decides to retire, then that just means that he knows that his body can't do it anymore. I ain't really got a problem with that. To me, the duck is if he comes back and says, oh, well, I'll fight now. I want to fight this person instead, and I'll fight him instead of fighting Gervonta. That's when, to me, he becomes a duck, and I can't rate that and respect that, regardless of the fact that Davis and team ducked that fight for 7 years. Now, okay, when Davis was 22, you might say, okay, no, you know what? He's 22, Loma's 29. That doesn't make sense, and I get that, no problem. 23, 30. All right, cool. 24, 31. All right, fine. 25. Now we're starting to get to a level where you should be ready. But 25, 32, you still don't want it? Okay. 26, 33. Perfect timing. And you know what? Even if you think that, okay, no, you know what? Not quite there. 27. So 2022, you have the fight then. You're 27. He's 34. Yes, he's still towards the back end of his career, but there's definitely enough there that you can have, that you can definitely get all the plaudits, all the credit. He's still in his prime. The prime hasn't quite slipped yet. He's still in it. And that's where you can have it. Right now, we know he's no longer in his prime. He's on the back nines of his career. Even if he's got one good quality fight left in him, like the prime's done. So 2022 was the time when you say everyone's back from COVID, you get all the full arenas and stuff again. That's a big money fight. It's a winnable fight for both of you, and you're both still in physical shape where that can happen. And it didn't. So, and then as Loma said, what was it, about 5-6 years ago, he said, or maybe he will fight me when I'm in my wheelchair. And that's basically what he's doing. He's trying to roll out the old man to take the fight, which is smart. I'm not going to say it's not, but it's cowardly. And him and his team clearly have no shame. But that doesn't absolve the fact that Lomachenko is looking a bit bad on this one. Yeah, it's kind of my thoughts on that one. Are you watching the Hooney fight tomorrow? Possibly. I'll be at work when it's on, so it's just about if I've got any appointments. If I haven't got appointments, then yeah, I'll watch it in the interim, or maybe I'll try and listen to it on the earpiece. I haven't actually spoken to him prior to the fight, so I need to send him a message, which I might do in a little bit after this stream. Shout out to man like Mulla, big up to you. Untraceable, we should Tank deserve. Because if you want the fight, you'll do what needs to be done to make it. 100%. I've also said that Tank is obviously he's either outpricing himself, or he's doing what Tyson Fury did with Alexander Usyk. Because let's not forget, technically, Usyk did walk away from the negotiations on that, the penultimate time before the fight got signed, when there was the rematch clause. Then he didn't want the rematch clause. Then he wanted the rematch clause back in, the 70-30, and all of that stuff, and just moment after moment after moment. It is true that and they pulled the plug at that point. So I get you can say it is that team that is obviously ducking and causing the issue. And I can just see that my Wi-Fi has come off and I'm currently on my 4G. So if the sound quality is now dropped or I'm looking a bit mad, please let me know. But obviously we won't be on the stream for much longer. So if that is the case, please do bear with me. I wonder if someone's tripped something outside, because my Wi-Fi has just totally disconnected itself. Okay. Let me know if I'm back. It's possible that Loma couldn't be bothered with silly negotiations and lost interest. 100%. Luke, whether it's a duck or not, at least he has the integrity not to gaslight the public to believe it's the other person avoiding him, unlike most boxers will do. Yeah, you could say that as well. Waiting until he's old to accept is a coward's play. 100%. Tank is cherry picking. Yeah, it's mad when you can say someone's cherry picking another champion, but yeah, 100%. Tank has learned the tricks and tactics from his godfather Mayweather. Although Mayweather has never been as egregious as Tank has been, and he still fought like, very, very, very good opposition. Tank doesn't have that to his name. You did freeze, but we can get past it. Okay, cool. It's good. All right, no worries. Thank you. Mayweather made fights when he could. He used other tricks. Yeah, I hear that. But he still fought. If you still look at Mayweather's record, he still fought a who's who. Tank ain't quite done the who's who part yet, so it's to even doing the A side plays and then this and that just doesn't hit the same. And he says I'm back. Okay, cool, calm. All right, last thing we talk about then, as it was brought up, Claressa Shields is fighting. I don't even remember the name of the girl, but I know she's fighting at, what is it, like heavyweight. Yeah, and the fight's on the weekend. I will not be staying up to watch it. I know that. I will be watching Chisora and Joyce. Then I think I'm gonna have an early night because I think I need it. I've had a lot of late nights or early mornings, I should say, and I do need to get back into some form of routine. That being said, I believe it's gonna look, as much as I dislike a lot of stuff about Claressa Shields, she's got the skills and the talent, and she's clearly shown that her lack of power doesn't affect her winning fights. So I can only assume she's going to be twice as fast as this girl up at like heavyweight. The girl may hit harder. They might have the same level of power, but the technique, the speed, the skill, everything I think is going to be on Claressa's side. I think it's going to be an easy victory. It's not even worth doing the basis picks on, if I'm totally honest. So yeah, I mean, what would be weird or what would be like hilarious is if like this is the first time she gets a stoppage in 7 years or however long it's been, 6-7 years. That would be hilarious. And then she could say, oh, you see, it's because I was draining myself is why I couldn't get the power. Now I'm at my proper weight. You guys see how I'll be knocking these bees out, as she might say. Yeah, that might be interesting in that sense. But other than that, I ain't really got much else to contribute to that one, quite frankly. But Mayweather fights at the right time. Yep. You said it perfectly on Monday Night Smoke, 20-1 favorites, 100%. Light heavyweight and heavyweight title on the line. Yeah. Who's the other? Hannah Rankin did that. Not Hannah Rankin, Hannah Gabriel. She did that as well. Are you seeing Deadpool Wolverine this weekend? I'm actually seeing it tonight, Philip. I will be there midnight with my peoples, and I'll even tell you which cinema we're going to. We're going to go to the Greenwich Odeon, the IMAX screen at midnight tonight. So if anyone's in the building, anyone else is does sort of likes those midnight screenings or whatever, and you're in South, feel free, pass by, and you will see me in attendance either before or after the showing. And we'll say he's seeing it. When are you going to see it? Are you seeing it over the weekend, or are you seeing it like tonight? What's happening? Philip said I'm seeing it on Friday night. Okay, cool. Luke, and she's too small for light heavyweight. That's how low the bar is. Yeah. Nasty work. It's all nasty work. But I feel like I've eased myself back into these casual streams. So, gonna read up the last couple of comments. We're gonna do like 2 minutes. So 2 minutes to get any last bits and pieces in, and then we'll definitely be closing off this stream. And we'll be back tomorrow. And I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna see if I can get in a couple episodes as well. Maybe even talking about some of the stuff that we've still spoke about here, just a bit more succinctly, a bit more short form for people who don't have the hour to dedicate to the streams. Well, I'll probably go Friday, but I'm likely to be in the cinema a couple of times for a few other films. Yeah, I hear that. You know, I haven't, because I'm now in the office, I'm not able to utilize my Limitless the way I used to. And I only go cinema like solo during the day, like during school times. So I don't really like doing it nights and weekends. And not enough people want to kind of go and watch stuff. So I think I might have put the Limitless on hold for a little bit. And to be honest, saying, I want to go during school times don't even matter now, because schools is out. So I'm going to be stuck with the kids and that in the theaters anyway. And there's only certain days I'll go on my ones. So, but yeah, I will try and make more. I'm going to see if I can try and make some time to get that done sort of in the near future. Philip, have you touched on the Dubois Varda situation? No, to be honest, I don't think it's worth talking about. There's maybe a conversation to be had around it, but they're signed up now, so whatever potential stuff was or wasn't happening, it's, you know, it is what it is. They got to pass them tests now for the next 2 months. I've been making the most of my Limitless this month. Might need to do a Great Defeaters Cinema Club. You know what? Might be a shout. Obviously, because I'm normally stuck on these I'm stuck on these streams like 4 days a week. Might be a bit difficult for me, but definitely like hit me up. Obviously, you got my details. If I can attend any of those, I'll let you know. But yeah, I definitely need to make the most of my Limitless card again. I've only probably gone about 3 or 4 times in the last month and a half, which isn't like me. It used to be like 2-3 times a week. But yeah, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you very much for tuning in. We're back to doing the regular scheduled programming. I'm back just before this light really dims out on me. But yeah, I appreciate you. We'll be back tomorrow, and possibly we might even be doing a watch along on the weekend. So I'll let you guys know about that nearer the time. But don't forget, tune into the live stream tomorrow. Don't forget to tune into the Caroline Dubois conversation on Saturday. And Basis Picks will be Friday as normal. But until then, I will see you soon. So Hardcore Casual, out.
Maybe I'ma make it, maybe I'm not. In time we'll see. But who's better than me? I don't care if you agree. I ain't saying that I'm better than anyone. But who